Yeah, Oliver Bearman, come on down. Come on down. You, my friend, are the MVP of the Chinese Grand Prix. Intern. You just keep giving it to the young guns that make up spots in the race. Listen, man, I'll be real with you. There weren't that many standout drives. I really didn't have much to choose from. I mean, Piastri won from pole. Norris had brake failures, so he couldn't really challenge Piastri from pole. So Piastri didn't really have to do much out in front. So that gets rid of both McLarens. You can make an argument for Russell, but again, you only beefed P2 because of Norris's brake failures. Max came fourth, but he should have been in fourth the whole race, and the only reason he was behind both Ferraris because he had a bad start. Both Ferraris got DQ'd, so I can't use them. I mean, Ocon absolutely deserves a shout, but I'm just going to go with Bearman because Bearman objectively did more in the race to me. Ocon actually benefited from, well, is that even fair? I'm pretty sure he did pass the V-carbs before they had their problem. But I don't know, man. Bearman just had the more interesting race to me, so I'm going to give it to him. Especially given, again, his inexperience. Your ability to pull off stuff like this when you're inexperienced makes it that much cooler to me. So yeah, man, Bearman started this race in 17th on hards, and I remember at the early part of the stint, it wasn't particularly looking good. And then he decided to do the strategy of going super long. So I'm like, all right, maybe this will work, but will he be able to nurse those mediums all the way to the end? So when he was making the passes on guys like Lawson and I think Duan was another one, I was like, okay, fair enough. Gasly was another one. I expected him to be quick at that stage of the race, but I did also expect the mediums to go off, and I expected him to have a terrible end to the Grand Prix, and it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. Bearman not only showed great racecraft, but he showed great tire preservation, which admittedly wasn't too hard here at China. It was a lot cloudier, cooler than the sprint, which seemed to be a real tire killer, especially if you spent your race behind people. And I think not being behind a lot of people helped Bearman a lot. He didn't spend too much time behind another driver because he had that tire advantage. So when he caught somebody, he just passed them as opposed to being stuck behind them and killing the mediums that he needed to stretch to the end. But yeah, man, 17th to 10th. Like, come on, man. That's a proper drive right there. This is Bearman's 5th ever F1 race, you know. And it's his 3rd points finish. Fairs, man. Like, listen, man. Bearman always worried me. As the diehard Haas fan I am, that was literally one of Haas's greatest races ever. And that's pre-DQ in my opinion. I'm not even talking about the points they scored, but just how they operated. One of Haas's best races ever, and the DQ only made things better. So Bearman didn't even finish 10th. He finished way higher than 10th. He got a P8, which is great. But this is one of the things that worries me about Bearman as a Haas fan, you know, because I'm like, if Bearman cooks, there's no doubt in my mind that a big team, more than likely Ferrari, is gonna snatch him up. I'm like, okay, Bearman's cooking at Haas. Let's pull him out there and make him cook for us. And the thing is, if Bearman was bad, then Haas would suffer and they'd probably kick him. So I'm like, if Bearman is good, we won't get the good for long. And if Bearman is bad, then it's only to our detriment. So Bearman's such a conundrum. But I've just taught myself to just enjoy him while we have him. Because I don't think we're going to have him for long. I think Bearman's going to pack up and leave us for greener pastures. Or some team, the greener pastures are going to pack up and try and get him. So we have to enjoy these days while we can. But yeah, man, I'm going to give it to Bearman. There were a couple other drivers that I thought had great races. You know, I mentioned George earlier. Max kind of fought back, but because he messed up the start, I didn't really want to give it to him. To be honest with you, Tsunoda had another good drive ruined by strategy and a weird wing failure, which I still don't really get. Stroll did fine. I thought Stroll had a decent race, and he got points out of it, which was quite nice to see. But outside of them, man, like, I can't really think of anybody. Maybe the Sauber drivers, you know, for making it to the end. Just for making it to the end, I think the Sauber drivers deserve a good shout because Not looking good, man. This video might actually be very short because there just really isn't that much to talk about. It was one of the funniest, boring races of all time. For me to have other things to talk about would require me to speak about people that aren't Bearman. But none of that's going to matter right now because I have a court case I'm preparing for. In the event that Liam Lawson is sacked before Suzuka, I'll be taking Red Bull to court. So I'm trying to find me a suit, trying to organize my argument so that when the day comes, I can successfully defend my client, Liam Lawson. But that's a story for another day. Today's story is Oliver Bearman going from 17th to 10th, which became 8th. Because he was already ahead of Gasly, so the only people he benefited from where DQs were concerned are Leclerc and Hamilton. Boy, Ferrari's not looking good. Haas are right behind Ferrari in the championship right now. It's going to be the closest we'll ever be to them all year unless they somehow mess up Suzuka as well. But it's always funny when the early season stuff happens and you can just look at this and be like, oh, look how close this midfield team is to this top team. Because it's not going to last. There are 24 races this year. We've only been through 2 of them. We got 22 whole races to keep going. Plus sprints. Like, none of this is going to last. But I'm going to cherish this Bearman drive while I can. Because Haas were so bad in Australia, I thought we were doomed. That we're going to have a horrible race today as well. And one driver would cook in quali while the other didn't. Bearman got a very unlucky qualifying, which is part of the reason why I was more encouraged to make him win this award, because it wasn't necessarily his fault what happened in qualifying. So yeah, man, Bearman, Oliver Bearman, congratulations. You are the MVP of the Chinese Grand Prix. I'm going to try and find some other aspect of the race or even the season to talk about. We have time. You know, there's not going to be a race next week, so I have time. But for now, Bearman, come on. Come up, come collect your award. Good job, lad. See you next time as we determine who the MVP of the Japanese Grand Prix will be. We're just going to have to wait and see. This is Intern signing out.